Dear Susan, the war is getting worse. The bastards are getting more and better weapons and making use of them. For the first week I was down here, the monotonous quiet of the river lulled us into a false sense of contentment that we had the VC on the run. The only way we could get him to fight was by going into his own backyard. We went into the backyard once too often. During the previous night, a VC platoon overran an outpost next to the riverbank and set up an ambush for our river patrol boats. The battle was terrible. Sue, I thought about keeping this whole thing secret until I got home, but I can't. This war is worse than any the U.S. has fought to date. I am closer to life and death every day than the majority of men are on their last day on Earth. My values are formed around one axiom: life. Dick Strandberg, River Patrol, Section 533, Mekong Delta.
For centuries, the Mekong Delta had been the water lifeline into the heart of Vietnam. A short hour's drive from Saigon, it was also the Viet Cong's backyard. In fact, Victor Charlie was so secure in the Delta that they used its villages as a rest area for battle-weary troops. Operation Blackhawk was planned to rob the communists of their safe haven. The mission of the operation was to search and destroy enemy encampments, secure his weapons, and to crush his defense.
Well, any given day seemed like a week, but we were involved mostly in basic guerrilla operations. Also considered what we would call pickups and paybacks. A pickup would be a rescue. A payback would be an assault, but it would be an assault by not an infantry outfit. It could be, as we were called back then, Sneaky Pete's. A basic guerrilla operation where you get into an area and you perform the assigned duty, which could be to put out anything from a supply, a source, a transportation source, or personnel.
The operations were fast, well-planned, and coordinated with American and Vietnamese Special Forces and Navy SEALs. Before a Blackhawk operation was launched, the insertion teams needed intelligence. This was gathered from two sources. One was from Kit Carson's. These were Viet Cong defectors who grew tired of life in the leech-infested swamps of the Delta and now operated as scouts for the Special Forces teams. The other source was from stay-behind teams. The stay-behind teams were like eagles that sat on a perch, surveying a specific area, waiting for enemy movement. When they spotted their prey, they would radio for support from an air-mobile Mike team to make a deadly strike from above. One of the most successful of the Blackhawk operations occurred in early December of 1966. Two platoons of Vietnamese Special Forces and their American Green Beret advisors attacked an estimated battalion of VC. The VC were taken by surprise by the fury of the Special Forces assault, but quickly recovered from the initial shock and struck back with a vengeance.
Hell was in session. Stuff was flying and men were dying. And as we pulled back into this pod to set up a defensive position, we had a lot of casualties, a lot of dead people already, and the platoon that was up front got ate up. They were just gone. And the recon guys gave suppressing fire and held out. But when you got, you hit a hornet's nest with a stick, you're in trouble. And we'd walk right into their complex, so they had everything right there to deal with us.
The SF troops laid down suppressing fire as they got on their radios and called in air support from waiting fast movers and the always welcomed gunships.
God, there was support on the horn, and the Captain Buca kept things coming. We had artillery support, jets were making passes. I instantly crawled across, checking to make sure that they hadn't put any ordnance or booby traps in there to blow up the chopper when it landed in us, because there wasn't that much room.
Still, the VC fought on, lobbing grenades and spraying fire from their AK-47s.
It was an impossible situation, just shoulder to shoulder fighting and keeping the volume to keep them off. And when I heard those heavy machine guns, I thought, man, we're not even going to get choppers in here. They'll blow them right out of the sky coming in to us.
As the battle raged, one desperate VC assault nearly broke the fragile Special Forces line.
I think I got hit probably an hour, hour and a half. No, it wasn't even that, actually. Probably the first hour. And I looked down, and there was my buddy Clark Carell laying there with 2 AKs in his chest. And I hollered the first time. Nobody could hear me with the volume and the intensity of the fight. I hollered the second time, and you couldn't hear one another from where we are apart. And I looked down at my buddy Clark Carell laying there, and hell, if you're going to die, you might as well do it with style. I looked at my buddy and I said, boy, look at you, just like a C license holder. You're a lower jumper than me in the free fall scale. And I said, just like a C license holder, you let them kill you. The third time I hollered, it was almost as if everybody had changed magazines and stopped shooting. There was a little lull enough where I hollered. I said, we need some help over here. There's a hole in the perimeter. And at that time, my lieutenant grabbed 3 of the guys in the squad, and he said, get over there and help Sergeant Rock on the other side of the perimeter. And as he was pointing to me to come and help for the position, the grenade came in and blew me up. But on the other side where I was looking up, and one of the guys over there on the other side of my buddy laying there, his eyes got big. And Cunningham, one of the recon guys in the recon platoon with Carell, we both ended up laying down over him, not knowing if there was somebody coming through, they needed to shoot him. We couldn't turn around, so get out of the way so that guy could shoot. And as we laid down and covered him, the grenade blew up. And my lieutenant says to this day, and the guys that were, they all watched it, and they said, damn, Rock, I don't know how you made that. That should have killed you. We watched you die with that frag. Everybody was on the ground like a snake. You couldn't raise your head above. You're going to get a hole in it. And I, with the shock and where I was at, my state of mind, that concussion, I stood up, held out my arm. I'm standing up. And I'm looking at the blood funneling out over this eye, and I'm just, oh, man. And about that time, one of the recon medics, Washburn, he said, damn it, Fitz. He said, lay down so I can put a tourniquet on you. You're bleeding to death.
Finally, after 5 hours of non-stop battle, the spent communist battalion vanished into the jungle, leaving behind 75 dead and most of their heavy equipment and supplies. The SF warriors had intercepted an enemy force that was planning to overrun a nearby friendly village. Their action not only saved the village, but also took the enemy strike force out of the war for many months. As the Blackhawks began to break the communist hold on the Delta, the war in the highlands was heating up, and America was about to throw more fuel on the fire.